Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be reviewing and creating a look using the Lunar Beauty Moonspell Volume 2 palette. This is a completely different palette from the Lunar Beauty Moonspell Volume 1 palette. So if you'd like to see the differences between the two, if you'd like to see some swatches, get some information on, and get my initial first impressions of the Volume 2 palette, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. This palette is coming in hot at $48 on the Lunar Beauty website. It's also shaped just like a book, again, like the Moonspell Volume 1 palette. Then on the back it shows the name, ingredients, and some social media links at the bottom. And then of course we have the spine of our palette book. And again, that is also literally exactly the same, except the symbols on the bottom are different. It's crosses now instead of two keys. Or perhaps swords, I don't know. Then if we slide the actual palette out of the unit carton, we are greeted by the front showing us a bunch of very Halloween themed symbols. Love that there's a knife. And this part is very different from the original Volume 1 palette. Still got the hand and everything the same. Then on the back it's got the phases of the moon, I think. That's really cool. Now let's see the inside. Ooh, okay. Lots of purples and pinks. Let's go ahead and zoom in and get these swatches going. And there's all the spooky swatches of the Lunar Beauty Moonspell Volume 2 palette. Now that I've swatched it, I can see how very clearly this palette is, I don't want to say monochromatic because it does have more shades than just purple, but it does seem very purple oriented, if you will. I like that there's a couple of other shades though, so we can add some pops of other color. But you guys know how much I love my purple, so I'm completely okay with it. I did go ahead and prime my eyes with my P. Louise base in the shade Rumor 02, and before we start with the look, I want to show you guys the differences in the palette. I actually also just realized you get an entire extra row of shades in this second palette. So with the original Moonspell, we've got a purple row, and then a teal row, and then a nude row in the middle, so that you can kind of work with both sides together. With Moonspell 2, everything but like these two shades, this one and this one, are pretty much purple in some form. And with the two that I covered, those are sort of like your neutrally sort of transition-y tones, if you will. So it definitely seems like this palette is meant to be all mauve, all purple. It's definitely a very specific kind of color story. Now let's see what we can create with it. I'm gonna start by using this Morphe X Madison Beer fluffy flat brush, and I'm gonna fill my crease with the Willow shade. It's just such a vibrant, bright red. I've got to go into it. I just dipped a few times into the pan, and let's see how much pigment we get out of it. pretty good. I did notice with the swatches, they kind of took a little while to build up with some of the shades, especially some of those lighter, softer tones. Just the level of pigment in them wasn't like pressed pigment kind of pigment, if you get my drift. But that just lets me know that they're going to be really nice, soft, and buildable instead of starting really punchy and then needing to blend them out. So it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, it's just a preference thing. What do you prefer? Now I'm going to take the J Sky Beauty 6 brush, X6 times 6. It's very teeny tiny though. And I'm going to go to the shade Freya. This is one of those perfect watermelon shades. So it's going to be my transition between the outer portion of the crease to the inner portion of the crease. I'm so happy you can tell the difference between those shades. Normally when you get shades that are kind of close together like that and you start trying to blend them, they just mix into one boring shade. This has two, red and strawberry, I'm gonna call it. Now for some coral, I'm gonna use this Morphe M No Name pointed tapered blending brush and use the shade Cameron, and she's gonna go right on the inner corner crease, inner portion of the crease. You know what I mean? I love that gradient. Those are three perfect tones to blend into each other. The Cameron shade is not nearly as corally as I thought it was though. It's more on the pinky side. Maybe it'll look even more coral once I get some other colors built up.
I put a spell on you and now you're mine.
Really though, this look is kind of witchy feeling, especially with it being drawn back like it is. I need to deepen things up a little bit now though, because the solid red is fun, but it's not doing it for me for the end look. So I'm going to take this Luxie 209 large shader brush and I'm going to pretty much use it as like a crease diffused blender kind of. And I'm going to use the shade Mel. I like Mel because she's sort of toned down. She's not really purpley, like super purpley, just a little bit purpley, and it's a very deep shade, so it should give me some dimension and darkness without being way too dark. I'm trying to just not make it black or solid purple, so I'm trying to stay away from. I think that's gonna be perfect. Do you see how it's just adding dimension into the red color that's already there, but it's not really changing the color too much? That's what I want. Thank you, Mel. You're such a great friend. I know we're looking kind of crazy right now, and it's a weird stopping point, but I just needed to comment on the fact that despite the lack of buildup whenever I was doing the swatches and how I was talking about some of the mattes were just really soft and more of blending buildable than punchy and pigmented, I have been corrected by the shadow because this built up super fast, and as I'm building it up, it's blending itself out around the edges into the red where I'm not having to do anything, and I'm really loving that. Just the quality is blowing my mind, and I thought I would let you guys know. Now I'm going to blend out all of the outer edges. I'm going to use this Morphe fluffy brush from this year's Pride collection. It's just a rounded blending brush, and I'm going to use the shade Sally to do all of the blending. So at first, just going to take it and start applying it to the brow bone and the inner corner. And since I've got a really rounded edge here, I'm gonna start shoving some of that pigment up into my brow just to make sure I don't have one of those weird gaps where my skin tone comes through. And now just blend. But I'm gonna use a clean brush to do that instead of the already saturated big fluffy brush. Just have a little bit more control. I'm done with the mattes now. I think I've built up some kind of crease, at least something to start with. It always just looks so goofy at this point. Every time I see my looks at this point, I'm like, why am I even doing this? Who's gonna watch this? But then whenever it's done and cleaned up and all the face makeup and everything is on, I'm like, okay, there it is. Using this large shadow brush from some miscellaneous brand, I'm gonna use the shade Mildred, and that's gonna go on my lid. Have you guys seen The Worst Witch with Mildred Hubble in it? It is a super cute series. All seasons I've watched are just adorable. Definitely more for kids, I would say, but I watched both seasons by myself, so you don't have to be to enjoy it. Oh, that's a good shade for this. Okay, that one's yummy. Pairs really well with this look, I think. I've got to go in with the ring finger though. I tried the flat brush. It did work. It worked a lot better than some of the previous experiences I've had with flat brush and shimmer shades, but I want it to be like a mirror, or at least as close to it as I can get. So let's see if this version will be really intense. Yes. Okay. Yes. That's what I like. That's what I want. Now using this Morphe M421 brush, I'm going to use the shade Agatha, and she's going to go on the inner portion of the lid and the brow bone. It's not picking up on the flat brush. New plan, going to use the Ulta X Harry Potter The Stone brush. No, the wand brush, because it's still flat, but it's not sharp at the end. And I'm going to break up some of the shadow in Agatha and see if I can pack it on that way. Oh, come on, Agatha. Get right on top of Mildred and show me how you can blend together. Oh, wow. What is that doing? That's a really interesting duochrome. Or I guess it's a duochrome. On the finger, it just looks like it's white. I can't really tell that it has any kind of shift at all. But on the eye, I guess maybe because it's mixing with the Mildred shade, it's kind of picking up some of that duochrome shiftiness, and it's mixing between pink, brown, and white. That is super unique. I think I'm going to try and build that up with a foam tip applicator and just see if I can get it to turn solid white in the inner corner. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop building because it's adding on a lot of texture very quickly, but I think that's perfect. I'm really enjoying how it's the super intense white at first. It's just blending into that pink and brown like nothing. Ooh, I love that so much. I'm so feeling this Moonspell fantasy. It's definitely giving me sultry, witchy vibes. I could see throwing on a giant pointy hat, grabbing my wand, and casting some spells. Wingardium, finish my makeup. Stupid wand. It's the last time I go to Ollivander's. Since my spell did not work, I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera, clean up my excess shadow, and finish my face makeup so that we can come back and finish off the lower lash line and try out the liquid lipstick and lip gloss from this collection. My lower lash line is super jealous and feeling really left out now, so I'm gonna use my Morphe M562 brush and go right back into the shade Willow, and I'm gonna make a really fine red line across my lower lashes. The red's looking fly. Pretty gorgeous. Now gonna use the Morphe M504 giant fluffy brush, but it's got a point at the end of it, and now go into the shade Alex to smoke out the red. I'll also go ahead and pull it all the way up and back and sort of use it as my line softening shade. There are some times when I really love the hard line for the wing, then there are other times when I just want to smoke it out, make it look a little bit softer, like that. And last, I'm gonna grab my little Luxie brush that I used earlier. It was the Luxie 209 large shader brush that I used in the shade Mel. I'm gonna take the tiniest bit of Mel just on the side of the brush and add a slight bit right here on the outer edge so that this little corner here will blend in, because the darkness here is stopping with the lower lash. You know, really, I'm only using this brush so I don't have to get another one dirty, but this probably wasn't the best idea. This brush is massive, and I'm just trying to get a controlled application with it. Although, it did work very well. I'm loving how rich this is. It's like vampy and sexy, and it's got a little bit of pink, but not enough for it to be pink. You know what I mean? So now let's see if the random lip products that I got are going to work with this look or not. I got one liquid lipstick and one gloss. The gloss is $17 and the lipstick is $18. The liquid lipstick is in the shade Hallows Eve. I'm never gonna get over how beautiful these components are. That black to clear ombre is just gorgeous. And it shows the color that the lipstick is, which is sort of nice. It looks like this is kind of a pumpkin-y orange, toned down a little bit, I think. Maybe a little terracotta. So that's Hallows Eve, and then the gloss is the shade Coven. Ooh, really pretty. It's sort of an orangey pinky nude, but it's got a lot of yellowy orange glitter in it to give it sort of that Halloween-y festive feel. I'm gonna try to put the lipstick on and see if the color's gonna work with this look, but I really don't think it will. But we'll see. Wow, that smells amazing. That smells so good. Like creme brulee or vanilla. Dessert. Smells like something sweet that I could definitely eat. I don't know about this color. I just do not know. Maybe it's not so bad. I just don't know. Let's just wipe that off and try the gloss. Already, it's so much better. This is a gloss I could see myself reapplying over and over again, just so I can make sure that I have that taste in my mouth at all times, because it tastes so good, just like the liquid lipstick, and the gloss is just as amazing as the rest of this collection. So what do you guys think about Moonspell Volume 2 and the look that I was able to create with it? For me, when it comes to the formula and the quality of the palette and the packaging, by the way, I love it. I think it hits all of the nails on the heads, ticks all the boxes, and it just performs really well. The only thing I'm sort of kind of disappointed in, just a little bit, just a little smidge, it just seems like the directions you can take it are very limited. You're either gonna get red, purple, mauve, or neutral. And that's okay if that's the point, but with it being a volume 2 within the same brand, within the same line of palettes, why in the previous palette have an entire row of purples like that when you're going to include a few purples that are very similar? Just some of it seems repetitive. Luckily, purple is my favorite color to wear on my eyes. That's why I stopped using them so much, because it's all I was doing. So for me personally, this palette is the epitome of what I love every day. Then the lipstick and the lip gloss, I've always loved his formula. His lipsticks don't dry down matte, but they don't stay super wet like a gloss. They're just soft and cushiony. The orange in here just doesn't work for this for me. If it was a purple look, I probably would have worn the orange. But the gloss, however, it's got just enough glitter in it to make it a cute yellowy orange reflect, and the base is light enough to give me a little bit of coverage on the lips, lightening them up a little bit, just making them look fresh. So all in all, I love it. I recommend it. If you have a bunch of purples in your collection, you probably won't need it, but it's still a fun, very high quality palette. And with that, that's it for me for this video. I hope you had a spooky time playing with Moonspell Volume 2. If you did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up just to let me know you enjoyed it. Also, if you like this look and you want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, if you gain nothing out of any of my videos, then please at least gain this. And that is to always remember and never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you guys. Bye.